Hi, welcome EDL 100. So this is an example of an interview that I will be conducting with Benjamin Harter, who is an aerospace engineer with Rolls-Royce in Indianapolis. So here's Ben. Thank you, Ben, for joining us today. First, if you want to do a quick introduction, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Uh, like Maureen just said, my name is Benjamin Harter. I am an aerospace engineer. I've been working since 2005, so I've got 11 years of experience in the field. I agreed to do the interview so I could tell you a little bit about myself and hopefully give some tips and just share my professional view on things and what my professional life has been like. So in terms of my personal life, I have a wife and two kids with another one on the way. And I currently live in Indianapolis. I work at Rolls-Royce, where we basically build gas turbine engines for the North America sector. So with that, I guess I'll give it back to you, Mo, and you can let me know what else you want to know.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about your job or company as far as you said in the United States? So is this a company that is based overseas? Is it a large company, a small company? What
Right.
kind of company is it?
Well, Rolls-Royce, it's a company that's about a little more than 100 years old, probably about 110 years old. People have probably heard about it, and they know about the cars,
Mm-hmm.
but it started in the United Kingdom as a basically got its legs during World War II, when they were basically manufacturing engines for the Allies. Um, you'll find that a lot of gas turbine companies and airframe manufacturers got their start during World War II. That's kind of where the big surge of manufacturing came from initially, that kind of put them where they are. So, and the same is true for Rolls-Royce. Now, in Indianapolis, the company that was in Indianapolis was Allison Engine Company, and started by the same man uh, that started the Indianapolis 500, was a successful businessman and other ventures, and started this engineering company. Rolls-Royce bought Allison Engines back in the 90s, and so there's a long tradition of Allison engines in Indianapolis, but Rolls-Royce, in terms of the Rolls-Royce presence in Indianapolis, is only about 20 years old. So
Okay.
um, so that's kind of the history of that there. And Rolls-Royce does not manufacture cars anymore. That's a misconception that I get a lot. People think that I have a company car or something, that I get Rolls-Royce cars for free. Uh, but actually, Rolls-Royce did manufacture cars, but they sold their automobile division, also back in the 90s, to BMW. So there's no such thing as a Rolls-Royce manufactured car anymore, even though the brand name still exists and it continues on. It's just done by BMW. So Rolls-Royce is in primarily does gas turbine engines. So that is their business. They're in the business of providing power.
Okay. And is that mostly airplane power? I mean, like, where are gas turbine engines utilized?
Okay, well, gas turbine engines, they're utilized in lots of places. They are utilized in aircraft, um, but they also get utilized on boats. They get utilized as basically large generators of power.
Okay.
A lot of them industrial engines sit on the ground and they will generate power. They'll spin a steam turbine, or they'll spin a generator, or sometimes they use them in boats to drive propellers in the back of boats to provide power for boats. And so we have different divisions that do these things. There's an energy division and a marine division. The division in Indianapolis is part of the Aerospace division, so we primarily do aircraft.
Okay. And what would you say, like, what would be your title within your company or your job? And what do you specifically, if you had to, shortly kind of summarize it, obviously knowing that it might be difficult to do that, how would you summarize
Yeah.
what you do?
Well, the job title is just senior engineer, which is pretty common for engineering. They kind of have that's kind of the generic title for someone that's of my position. It's usually someone that's got about 5 to 10 years of experience at least. But it is also it's kind of the step before like a lead engineer or um, where you would have more of like a team leader type position. Uh, as far as what I do, I'm a systems engineer. So if you uh, to kind of break it up, I guess simply for engineering, there's the type of engineering where you do components, and when you build a large project like a gas turbine engine, there's an engineer for every component. So there's a guy that just looks at turbine blades, or he looks at the nozzle or the case or those things. So but there's also project engineers, and they kind of manage specific projects. They're focused on building a new part that's supposed to achieve something, or building an entire engine that's supposed to achieve something, or running a test, or things of that nature. um, and then there's systems engineers like me. They're kind of whole engine type people, and we look at the engine as a whole. And my primary focus is in systems performance, which is basically, it means that um, we're really responsible or supposed to be knowledgeable about how the overall performance of the engine, what it gives us. So that's things like how much thrust does it give you, how much power does it deliver, how much fuel does it burn, and 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 basically that's our group's responsibility. So it's a technical role. It's not really a management project engineer role where it kind of you're um, you're kind of telling people what to do and managing people's priorities and trying to keep people on schedule or things like that. It's still technical in a systems sense, but it's also whole engine design.
Okay.
So
Very good. Cool. I guess kind of looking back at thinking about when you were a kid, I mean, even in elementary school, is this something you always wanted to do? Or what other jobs can you remember that you were possibly interested in, like, throughout your life?
well, I remember when I was in kindergarten, I wanted to be a fireman. No, I mean, that,
Okay.
that but but no, seriously, I think when I was in high school, I think when I actually started seriously thinking about maybe what I wanted to do, um, I knew I was into computers. I think I wanted to be a computer engineer. I wanted to be a computer science major or a computer engineer of some sort. So, um, but uh, and I think that was a good choice for me. I actually really do think that was like right up my alley. I had no inkling of doing anything aerospace related at the time. When I got into school, I had taken programming in high school, and I did fine. I did a good job in those classes. But I think I took my freshman class, and it was before I had to choose an engineering major. I took my freshman class in programming, and then I went through it all, and it was kind of the same stuff that I've been doing. But I think I had just a moment of reflection, and I thought to myself, I really don't want to be doing. I didn't really want to just be making. I wanted to make something a little more solid, something that, a machine that was doing something. And so I ended up kind of changing my mind at that point in my freshman year, and I kind of it was kind of a shot in the dark a little bit, to be honest. I just kind of took a chance, and I knew some people that were in the aerospace program, and so I switched over and I did that. And from the get-go, from the very start of taking those classes, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the subject matter, and I kind of just stuck with it. But yeah, it's really different from a lot of the people I went to school with. They they were always interested in airplanes or aircraft, and that was their thing since they were younger, and I was really the opposite of that. I wasn't really into it at all when I was younger, or I wasn't into it a lot, at least. So I, I kind of I was coming into it fresh a little bit when I was in school, but now I am very enthusiastic about aircraft aviation. Um, I've actually a student pilot. I pursued that. I, uh, I've spent a lot of time around airplanes. I've learned a lot about airplanes. So it's really become a large part of my professional life, and I love it. So it's kind of a nice little surprise, something that I just tried out. I just gave it a shot, and it really turned out to be great. So.
Okay, cool. Talking a little bit, you talked about your undergrad experience. Can you tell me about your educational background? Where did you go? Do you have anything more than a bachelor's? What is needed typically for an aerospace engineer to get a position like that? What's the typical background?
I went to the University of Michigan, and I went to their engineering college, and they have an aerospace program there. Um, I received my bachelor's from Michigan in 2005, and just I guess as a summary, I then went to go work at a company out on the East Coast called Pratt and Whitney. And when I was there, and usually that's for engineering. At a minimum, they require a bachelor's. But if you do go work for a big company, a lot of them, if they're good, will have some sort of educational assistance program. And so I took advantage of an education assistance program at Pratt and Whitney, and I was able to get my graduate degree at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, which is a school in upstate New York, and they had a satellite campus at Hartford, and so I was able to work and go to school there. And I kind of went through it very slowly. I think over the course of about 5 or 6 years, I gained that degree. So I was just taking a class every so often. I was skipping semesters at sometimes, so it was very slow going. I was working at the time, so I didn't really uh, dig down and really get my nose to the grindstone kind of thing. I just did it when I could, and it worked out. And so I received my graduate degree. I believe that was in about 2012. So yeah, like I said, it took me about 6 years to finally gain that degree, but I got it, and I'm happy that I did. A lot of people do have graduate degrees where I work, but I have to say many of them get them. Probably about half of the people with graduate degrees get them after they've started working. And so it's certainly not a requirement to have a graduate degree beforehand. But there are people that do pursue graduate programs, and they get to do that. Everything's seamless. I believe Michigan had like a 5-year graduate program where you could kind of accelerate your bachelor's and get through some of your graduate classes and then receive a graduate degree at the end of like a 5-year program. So obviously that'd probably be more efficient of your time. But if you're wanting to get out into the world and go do work and kind of see if you like it, it's just as good to go with a bachelor's degree and get a job like that.
Okay. Did you do any sort of like internships or anything like that when you were
Yes,
in
yes.
college?
I did take advantage of, in 2003, I did a 6-month co-op with Pratt and Whitney on the East Coast. So that was kind of how I got my foot in the door. Um, and it really was a good opportunity for me. It's a funny story how I got that, because it kind of just fell in my lap a little bit. I was I had applied for a few jobs in my co-op, and I actually, but I didn't apply for a lot. I applied probably not as many as I should, and I probably didn't focus as much on it as I should have at the time. So, just being a college student and not really knowing what I was doing, I guess that's that's where I was. So I got through. I applied for just a couple jobs here and there, and Pratt and Whitney was one of them. And I got a call over Christmas, and they actually interviewed me over my Christmas break. And I didn't know if I had a job or not. And I actually started my classes in winter semester, and I had planned a cruise with like all my buddies to go on spring break. And I got a call. I'd probably been through about a week or two of classes in the winter semester, and I got a call from Pratt Whitney saying, "You got a job. Can you start in like a week?"
Oh, wow.
So I threw everything in uh, a Grand Voyager, everything I owned, with all the seats out and just the two front seats. And I drove out to Connecticut, and I lived in a hotel for a little while, and and started work while living in a hotel. It was all very fast and crazy, but it was it was a really good opportunity for me. I had to cancel the plans for the cruise. I had to drop all my classes. Luckily, I didn't get far enough in my classes where I had to pay any money. I was still within the drop deadline, and I was able to do that co-op for 6 months out in Connecticut. And the people that I met at that time are the same people that recommended me for a job when I graduated out in Pratt Whitney. So it was a good opportunity. It's the
So the
way that.
co-op definitely led into
Oh, absolutely.
a future job.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like I felt like I impressed when I was there at my co-op. I made a good impression, and I socialized with people, and I made a lot of good friends when I was out there in my co-op. And so I think when it came time for me to graduate, I just had to get in touch with a couple of my friends, and they put a word in here and there, and it was just like, I think I had a job pretty quick after that.
Very good.
And I worked there for 7 years, so it was really
Yeah,
great. It was a good opportunity.
very nice. What would you recommend to someone who wants to do what you want to do? As far as if there's a current student in one of my classes that's like, that sounds really interesting, I'd like to be an engineer of some sort. What steps would you recommend for them to take or think about?
Well, obviously I would look at your engineering programs at your school. A lot of schools, and I'm sure Miami is one of them, offer a lot of guidance in terms of career and looking at internships and co-ops. And even if you're a freshman enrolled in engineering and you're just taking intro classes, maybe you've just taken like chemistry or something, you don't even need to do that. Still go out, go to the job fairs, go get your name out there, try to land an internship. Um, a lot of companies, including Rolls-Royce, they don't require you to know a whole bunch of engineering before you start. In fact, it's really good for us to foster a relationship with a student that's a freshman and continue that relationship for 4 years. And I mean, it's a 4 year long job interview, and Rolls-Royce loves it. And the students love it because it lets them see what it's going to be like out there. And that really is, I think, for people that are not sure if they want to do it, it's the co-op and internship atmosphere is a great way to go and dabble in the things that you may be interested in. But don't be discouraged as a freshman to go out there and look. Really, you should go out and look as much as you can when you're a freshman. I think the people that are some of the most successful people while doing that have had co-ops or internships every single year that they're at school, and I think that's great.
Very good, very good. What skills or traits do you think you need to possess to be successful in your job or occupation? Like hard skills, soft skills? Who are the people that are most successful?
Well, I think I mean, clearly you have to be good at math and good at science and those types of things. I think that you have to be interested in those things. Um, I think that it's a it's a job, at least my job personally is it's a problem solving job. You have to like to sit down and problem solve. I think those are like the intrinsic characteristics that I have that motivate me to do well. I want to figure things out. I'm okay with sitting down with a math problem and trying to figure it out, or one of those like logic puzzles. But having said all that, that's what motivates me. I think I see lots of engineers and they're motivated by different things. They're motivated um, to excel and to do well with by other means and by other things. They just want to spend time around the parts and pieces, or they really enjoy the computer work. And I think there's different things that can kind of motivate you. But I think it's just good to have. I think the trait that you have to have for any career, including engineering, is just have an open mind and to keep your eye out and try things. I think that that's the best way to find what you really like. And you'll know if you don't like something. So just kind of keep an open mind and get out there and experience as much as you can. Um, and do it while you're young and you don't have anybody to take care of, all these things, because when you're young and you can travel and you can go places and work where you want to work, that's really the best time for you to do something like that and to kind of put your feelers out there and see as much as you can. So I think I think the traits of just being open-minded about what you can do. um, I also think it's really good as an engineer. You're going to be criticized. You're not going to be, even if you're the smartest guy in your class, smartest guy in your class, and when you show up at your job, you're not going to be anymore. And so it's really important to take criticism well and to take it to heart, improve yourself. Uh, I've seen a lot of engineers that just don't, they can't accept criticism, and I think it holds them back. I think it holds them down from being able to become better and to do better at their job. So
Okay.
I would say those are the traits I would say.
Okay, perfect. One last question for you, Benjamin. What advice do you have for current college students who are maybe unsure about what they want to do or unsure about what their major is?
Again, I think you should try out as much as you can. I think it's really hard to know what a job is going to be like until you're actually in it. And so go out there, apply for an internship, go work with people in an office environment. You might not even know if you want to be in an office, but go try it. Go to an office and see if that's the kind of environment that you want to.
Oh, it looks like we might have lost him at the very end of that, so I apologize. But what I'll do is I will do a quick follow-up with him and let you guys know what was said after the fact. Thank you for sticking with us, and hopefully you enjoy this video kind of showing an example of what a broadcast and what an informational or an interview can be. So thanks.